Hey everyone, my name is James. This is my presentation on the film for this week, Dragon Inn from 1967. I really enjoyed the film, so I hope you guys did too, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. So, starting off with my table of contents, I'm going to be talking about the Ming Dynasty and the history of the Ming Dynasty and how that period of time was represented throughout the film. I'm also going to be talking about throughout the film. I'm going to be talking about the different fighting styles that were used and the different martial arts techniques, because majority of this film is fighting. There are a lot of scenes that aren't fighting, but a majority of it, I would say, is fighting. So there's a lot of good scenes to analyze. The setting is also something that I wanted to discuss because the inn itself, the Dragon Inn, is used as the main setting throughout the film, and I feel like they got some great usage out of that location, and they really portrayed it well. Some extra thoughts that I had were that compared to one of our films from earlier weeks, a couple of weeks ago, New Woman, I feel like this film had some comparisons there, which I'll get into later. And at the end, I will give my thoughts on the film as a whole. So, starting off with the Ming Dynasty and the history of it, this time period lasted in China from 1368 to 1644, which aligns with when the film takes place, which is 1457. The Ming Dynasty was focused on defending itself, defending China from Mongolian and Japanese attackers because they were trying to invade and conquer China at that time. Um, Pictured on the right here, you can see the 16 emperors that were a part of the Zhou family, and they ruled over the Ming Dynasty when it was active. The Ming Dynasty, I did some research, and it was viewed as a dark period for some, and to others, it was viewed as a golden age. So make of that what you will. And I'd say that it was a pretty good period of time, personally, because there was a lot of great inventions that are still being used today, um, such as the Great Wall of China, which was put in place to defend, which is still being used in this day and age. So, a part two, which is mainly talking about the eastern and western depots. Two depots were designated to the Zhou family, the eastern and the western depot. The Eastern Depot was created as a spying police agency that worked for the Emperor. These eunuchs, which are individuals who were castrated to have complete allegiance and alliance, and to make sure that they didn't participate in anything scandalous, I would say. Yeah, so the Eastern and the Western Depot were both comprised of individuals who were castrated, and they both served as a private police force that guarded the Zhou family from harm. They were both trained to be strong soldiers, and they were both feared in Ming Dynasty China. So, the Eastern Depot in the Dragon Inn, the film, they were portrayed as being cartoonishly antagonistic. Obviously, as I said before, soldiers were castrated to make sure that they didn't do anything wrong. That was viewed upon by the Zhou family and by Chinese officials as morally incorrect. And Pi Xiaoteng, which was one of the higher ups, the second in command to Cao in the film, is aware that the Eastern Depot is incredibly evil, but you have to think about the money in that situation, and they were getting paid very well. So the Western Depot in Dragon Inn was shown to be much kinder than the Eastern Depot. The Imperial forces were shown to be much kinder. which is the Western Depot. They're the same thing. They were seen as the heroic figures of the film, and this is the sign that the main characters reside. And even later on in the film, Duola and his brother, the ones from the earlier slide that were castrated here, they quickly joined the Western forces as opposed to the Eastern forces for the purposes of justice. And to show off kindness, I pulled a clip here.
不能放他们走！哎，你别说话呀！哎呦，哎哦，等他们养好了伤，再来杀你们。哎，不要你管，不要紧，走。哎哎哎哎，走吧走吧。哎，谢谢你们几位，我们也没什么好说的了。记住了，少喝水啊！你们快回去吧。
As you guys could see in that clip, and I'm sorry about the lack of English subtitles, I'll give a brief synopsis of what happened in that clip. So basically, the Western and the Eastern Depot forces, they fought a lot throughout the film at the inn, and that was one of those times. And the wounded soldiers that were let go were from the Eastern side, and instead of torturing or trying to get information out of them, the Western side just healed him up and let him go, and even gave him kind words of advice on where to go next. And the Eastern forces, they said in the doorway that they were at a loss for words, which really shows the humanity of the Western side, the Western Depot. So this is a period of the film, or I shouldn't say period, a part of the film that I really did enjoy, which was most of the film. It was the fights throughout it. This film was mainly comprised of fights because it is a wuxia film, which is basically translates to a kung fu film, a martial arts film. And this film really does go crazy with the fights. It's very over the top. It's very I'd describe the fights of this film to be like a dance. It's very cat and mouse, where one side tries to attack and then another side tries to defend, and you can really see the difference between the strong characters and the weak characters. And even though you guys can see here in the hour 11 mark, all these soldiers here, which are described to be very trained, strong soldiers, they're no match for Zhao, who is the main character in the white robe there. No match for him. They're all ganging up on him. No one fights one-on-one on this film. That's something you're going to realize when you watch it. No one fights one-on-one, which it does make for some entertaining scenes with the main characters and the, I guess you could describe them as fodder. The main fighting styles of this film were a mix of swordplay and kung fu, and both these styles are exaggerated throughout the film to an extreme degree. And I'd say a good section is in the finale fight, where Zhao and the main villain Cao are having a very exaggerated lunging fight, which I'll show you right now. So as you could see in that scene, it was very dramatic, which it had every right to be. It was the finale fight, and it gets even more dramatic the longer the fight goes on. it's really a good display of the show of power between those two martial artist masters. And I'd say another one of my favorite instances actually is from that fight. Diegetic sound is used really well in this scene, but it's diegetic only for one person, which is Cow, as he suffers from asthma and his old age also gets to him. So you can see when he's fighting, and I'm going to show you in a second, when he's fighting, you're going to really see that there's this ringing in his head that no other character can hear. He's fearing for his life. It's very interesting to see. I really enjoyed it. So I really thought that was a great example of diegetic sound in the film because not only did we hear it, Cow heard it as well. He was really fearing for his life. You could see his worry when he was looking at his wounds and he was trying to catch his breath. And as I mentioned before, as I said with the fact that there's no one-on-one fights, even there at the final fight, it was all of the Western forces, main characters, their strongest forces, all against Cow, which really shows his power, even though he's old and suffers from asthma. So this right here, I also thought was another great example of exaggerated combat. It showcases Zhao, our main character, again performing a feat of inhumane strength, and I made a diagram here to show you after the clip.
多了，该我打击啊！
I don't know how well you could tell that from the clip, but basically, because of the archers from the Eastern forces that were stationed on this hill right here, and the Eastern forces that were coming from down this path, Zhao and the other members of the Western forces that he was stationed with had to cower down in this little. They had to take cover in this little dip right here, and just from the archer distraction from the western side, Zhao was able to leap from this little dip right here all the way up to the top of that hill, which I thought was a bit, even for how exaggerated everything is. I thought this was a bit much, but I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's it's all in good fun. It's fine. So, something I thought was really interesting was the Dragon Inn itself. Um, it's the main location of the film, as the title suggests. This nice little inn is occupied by both Eastern forces and Western forces, and the innkeepers are terrorized throughout the whole movie uh, by both sides, especially the Eastern force. I shouldn't say both sides. The Eastern forces are the main ones who really hone down on them, and they kill a few of them too. It's very graphic, but the inn, since it is in the middle of nowhere, I feel like, well, I shouldn't say I feel like, it was portrayed in an extreme long shot when it is shown, every single time it's shown. It showcases how barren the landscape is around it. It's an extreme long shot because it focuses on the small building surrounded by everything else in the shot, which really it really cements how alone this place is. If anyone was trying to get help, um, so the film New Woman compared to Dragon Inn, the film's director King Hu, I feel like should really be credited, and he is credited with how he portrays Chinese women in all of his films, not just Dragon Inn, all of his films. So, Wei Ming in New Woman, as we have seen before in previous weeks, she is hoping and longing for something different in life. She's hoping for women to get a different chance at how they're supposed to live, and ultimately she ends up taking her own life because she just can't bear how corrupt and how men-centered the way of life is in China at that time. So Dragon Inn, even though it's placed way before uh, New Woman's supposed to take place, way before. Huizhu does a great job, even though she does have to blend in as a man to get respect. She still is one of the most powerful characters in the film. She is there to protect, and she is there to uh, carry her brother um, whenever he needs it, because he's a bit of a hothead in the film, as you see. So she really showcases um, something that I feel like women in Chinese film really needed to see, which is a figure of power, a figure of I guess the easiest way I could explain this, a figure of getting things done, which I feel like Huizhu and King Hu's direction on that really, really worked. Okay, so to end it off, I'm going to give my thoughts on Dragon Inn. If it wasn't obvious already, I really did like the movie. I thought it was a great film, great for its time, still holds up really well. I'm glad I did my presentation on it. Um, but as Mr. Emoji Man says, what did I like best about it? You guys, I'm sure, want to know, and I'll tell you right now. I liked how the Dragon Inn itself, was the main center focus. I liked how unifying it was, seeing all of the main characters come together at the inn for their own distinctive reasons, yet they all had the collective goal to want to fight for the Yu family um, in honor of justice against the Eastern forces. Um, so obviously you could see Zhao and Mr. Wu, the owner of the inn, the brother and sister duo of Ji Zhu and Huizhu, excuse me. And even later on in the film, Duala and his younger brother, who I talked about earlier, the castrated brothers from the Eastern forces. I thought it was really nice to see how they all came together, and they all fought for Yu's sake and protected his family against the Eastern forces. Um, I liked how all the characters, the ones I just mentioned right there, and even some of the characters on the Eastern forces felt very distinct. Um, it was nice to have that looming threat of Cao, um, because even when, after every single time you see him, um, he's led up to be some grand figure, and you might think that he's just a figurehead, that he's not that strong, but then you actually see him fighting, and he's much stronger than any of the main characters. They all have to work together to take him out, and even then, the asthma and the old age, they all have factors to knock down Cao, and end that story once and for all, which I really thought was nice. I like how it didn't take itself incredibly seriously. So you guys could see from the extremities and fighting. I thought it was very nice. I thought it was funny at times. There was definitely comedy there, but the action was very intense, and I got invested multiple times. It was a good movie. So, from your lecture, I do agree that this type of film is good for outsiders. Professor Lee did say that. Um, that he uh, thought the film was good for outsiders, and that martial artist films of this type would have been good for outsiders. It was pandered to that demographic from the Chinese government. Um, so I really did enjoy that, and I agree. Since I am an outsider, I would say that it did its job. And you also said in your lecture that sound effects and the costumes, they harken back to classic Chinese tradition throughout the film, because the Chinese government was trying to go away from communist ideas and communist ideals. Um, so they decided to go with the classic approach to sound effects. As you guys could hear from the asthma attack sound that I showcased in one of my earlier clips, that it's very heavy in Chinese tradition with how they make that sound, and that goes for the rest of the movie too, as I'm sure you guys noticed. And that's it. So I'm glad you guys stayed for the rest of my presentation. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and please do share your thoughts on the film and my presentation below. And I hope you guys liked it as much as I did.